Welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast of three brothers trying to figure it all out, with your hosts, Brandon, Collin, and Aaron. On this week's show, we love you, Australia. Look, I'm just going to say this. If either of you ever move to Australia, I am out as far as scheduling these kind of calls. Because that...
Oh, come on.
Is annoying.
It's fine.
Not fun. What did I jump in on?
Cannot...
It's fine.
And no, don't know. Scheduling calls, people who live in Australia is not cool. Like the opposite of cool.
Man, but Australia is so cool.
I mean, it's kind of hot.
Okay, it doesn't get very hot. I was there in the winter, so I can't speak to the heat. Which it does get real hot, and I don't like hot. So
they also have about 1 million murder things that live on or near the ground.
I saw none of them.
Because you were...
It's fine.
You were there during the winter, where they're all hiding.
Well, yeah, but I was still there for a long time. Oh, dude, I was there. It was great. Hello, Australians.
Hello.
How's it going? I don't know. They might.
I've never asked that question. Well, while I find out this latest information, how's it going?
There you go. While Collin gets us an update for our listener stats, what's going on, guys? Don't share that on air. We don't want to shame anybody who's not listening. Right. Okay. I need to I'm going to start out with an update.
Okay.
The content update from a couple weeks ago, right? When we were talking about roller skating.
Yes.
Right. I believe Wobbly Wheels is what the episode's called, came out this week, right? I was listening to that. This is another indication. This is another one of those times where I guess it was on my mind. And that one internet rule that I can't remember came into effect. Plus, Google must have heard me, right? Because I have discovered that at least the inline skating community online it's doing well, right? It's alive.
Yeah.
It's around, right? And so I've YouTube all of a sudden, I don't know if it's because I was looking at that web page about roller skating, right?
No.
But I got all these inline skate
been infected
video recommendations. And so obviously I watched them. So I did not know. Okay. I've been educating myself this week on skates and skating. Much more to it than when I was a kid, right? I just was like, hey, those are skates. No. Many different types of skates, many different components of skating, right? Styles good for different disciplines of skating. Who knew? Not me. That's who. So apologize to all the skating enthusiasts who are out there listening, screaming at their speakers, what an idiot. So all right. I've done some homework. I know now. It's pretty addicting watching some of these videos. There's dudes that just free skate through city environments, which is super awesome.
What?
Yeah. Freestyle inline skating. They're just skating around the city. It's just really enjoyable to watch this. There's a couple channels that do that. There's some guys that are downhill, right? They're hill bombing, but on inline skates, which it's one of the more terrifying things I've ever seen. I'm out on that one. People that do speed skating, right? It's just all about how fast can I skate? In a right? It's pretty awesome. So I may have to buy some skates. I don't know. Don't quote me on that one. But I'm
Brandon breaks himself.
It's fine. So I'll buy a helmet too. It's okay. I'm old now. I need a helmet, right?
I don't want to.
It's fine. It's okay. I'm old now, so I probably do need a helmet, right? That'd be a good idea for when
an elbow pad,
but maybe a knee brace, right? Yeah. A little wrist guards, so I don't go all Collin mode, right? But that'd be
ankle guards.
Yeah. But watching some of those people skate, it looks like super fun. So I was like, man, I could go to the park and just skate. Would I? I don't know if I would, but I could. Like I
stare at them as they sat right by the door and go, you know what?
It's feasible
could do
that I could do. It's one of those things like, oh, I could totally do that. Would I do it though? Hard to know.
Yeah.
It's like in theory, it sounds like a great idea, right? But
I don't know if
would I put that idea into practice?
I don't know if great idea is, really the direction I.
It's a great idea. I don't know what you're talking about.
You have had an idea. Very good.
No, our park has got like this big giant like flat area, and the road goes in like a track. It's like a circle. You could just like skate around through there. You could skate on a little pathway. It'd be cool. Mm-hmm. There's that one monster hill. So when I watch too many of those hill bombing videos, it'd be like, yo, I got this. It's fine. Whoa. And we don't tell Susan about it.
Yeah, don't. And
then we just like go down. She would murder me if I did that. She would just end me before.
At least you have some entertainment.
Yeah. Looking at my road rash. Oh man, it's okay. I have a leather jacket out here somewhere. It's fine.
Yeah, that's what you need to do. Get some inline skates where you're leather
like X Game style. Just whoo. Yeah, great.
Oh. Can tell
So yeah, I've been doing internet research into the world of inline and just quad roller skating. That is also still a thing. All right, people do that. So there you go. There's the content update, ladies and gentlemen. Before we start, skating update. I will update you further if and when I decide to buy some roller skates. So don't look for that update anytime soon. But
don't mind me as I text Susan and let her know.
It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Man, that summer boarding is really hitting you hard this year. It's like,
man, yeah, she's back at work. Shayna's been working at summer school, so I've been sitting home by myself. So I'm like
wandering around in a malaise. What am I?
Yeah. Looking at watching skating videos. Pretty great.
Nice.
So because of course the progression went like I got on this inline skate thing, right? And then that led to some like downhill longboarding.
Oh, those are
like skateboarding.
Okay, those are cool. I like.
Yo, holy cow! Also, never doing that. Okay, like never. Like I'm out. Those dudes are going so fast. No way.
Those remind me. You mentioned of the inline, the skaters going through city streets. It reminds me whenever I was looking at people who rode single speed, fixies, through San Francisco hills. Just blitzing.
Oh yeah, those videos are crazy too.
Sliding around the corners and going in between traffic. And I was like, oh
yeah. I wonder how low gear you have to have on your back hog to hit some of those hills in San Francisco. Well, like how big is that thing? Like, because like on the track, that back gear is like 15, 14, right? But for like some of those monster hills, be like 19, please. Like,
25, right?
25. It's bigger than your front chain ring. It's like 40.
The thing. Yeah. No, a lot of those guys just kept them at a 19, or maybe they go up to 21.
Ooh.
And you just see them
beefy,
literally standing up, not moving, going up like the hill. Or they'd take a very, very serpentine path up the hill.
That's true.
Many switchbacks.
See, I think that's also where this came from, because I also watch some of those, but it's the guy who does it in New York, right? There's a guy that does it in New York, and I watch those videos a lot because they're like simultaneously relaxing and like anxiety inducing. It's really weird. Like, especially the ones where he does where he's following people. Right. So he'll have like the camera like on his chest or his helmet or whatever. And he's like following somebody else that's riding a track bike through Manhattan. And it's like, oh my God. it's like so cool to watch, and also like, no.
Scary.
So those are fun. Yes. So I've been watching wheeled things with wheels this week. That's what I've been doing. I've been looking at things with wheels on the internet.
Sounds like a music album Noah would be listening to on Amazon these days.
Yes.
He listens to so
things
many.
With wheels.
The world of construction equipment themed music and songs is a lot more varied than I originally anticipated.
I was not expecting that to be a category.
Well, no, they'll sing like a song about the dump truck and the song about the excavator, song about the bulldozer. And many of them will have like the sound of one operating in the background or like on site at a construction site.
Oh, nice.
Singing. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
There we go.
he likes them a lot.
There we go.
That's literally all he listens to on for music.
That's hilarious.
He loved it. So.
It's just gonna be like sounds of the construction site, just like
hammers.
There's like ambient music tracks, but it's just like a bulldozer
Beep, beep,
and like.
beep,
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
The one the other day, I connected the phone to the car and I was flipping through some music and it got to one and he was like, "This is my favorite." And I think it was literally just a song that was like about a dump truck. And the guy was just kind of like not really singing, but like beak singing. I don't know, I forget what it's called, but where it was just about like what a dump truck does on the construction site. It was like,
well, there you go. Like
there you go. He was so.
Gotta get him to watch that. What's that old Discovery show, that like Mega Movers?
Yeah.
Right? Where you just like, they just like those big trucks and loaders and stuff, and they move like really massive objects like houses and the space shuttle and all that stuff, right? You guys just get him, start watching those random shows. Where there's like those quarry dump trucks that are like 70 million feet tall,
Yeah.
I don't remember what those exactly are called, but they're like a dump truck, but they're enormous.
Yes. No.
Right?
Yep.
Like the one at the end of that Jackie Chan movie where he drives it through the house. Remember that one? Where it's like,
yeah.
It's like,
yeah. What are there's a category of them that I just am trying to remember what these are called.
Super big things.
I think they're made by a couple different ones. There's like Terex and the Caterpillar one is like the 7,000. Anyway, I only know this because we looked
obviously
for no reason.
Clearly.
Okay, world's largest dump truck. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, just a bunch of shows with that. You just sit there forever.
No, I've been trying to find the old versions of how it's made because I just need to put those on loop.
I was just thinking about like the History Channel, like the Modern Marvels, and like how it happened, like how it's made and stuff like that. Like that's what I was thinking of.
Yo, Modern Marvels, underrated TV show. You're right, Aaron. They took it off because clearly, I guess it was underrating. But like, a few years ago, they used to have two History Channels, right? They had the History Channel and then had like H2, whatever. That like the History Channel was where they had all their like, dumb shows like aliens built the pyramids, all that garbage. But then like on the second channel, it was like they would have like the Modern Marvels like marathons.
Yes.
It was great.
Yes.
We just like watch this. The one about like, I like the ones about tools. Right? I don't know why. I'm not like a tooly guy. But yeah, just like, oh, this is like the history of hammers. You're like, yes, let's watch that. Or like axes. You're like, okay, I'm in. Like,
well, I was gonna watch this. Then they would do things with like They wouldn't just they'd be like the 10 tools that changed the West, or things like that. Where
those ones are good too.
Categories,
but it's one of those things where, like, to tie it back to the roller skating thing, right? Like, you're like, oh, it's an axe, or like, oh, it's just an inline skate. Apparently, no. There's like 7 billion different types of inline skates that are good at certain things. Axes are the same way, right? It's one of those things where you, like, once you get into it, there's like a weird typology of like all these different things, and they're like, some axes are only good for like this one job. You have all these like specialty tools and stuff like that. It's very that rabbit hole I find extremely interesting, and I fall into it like really hard with certain subjects. Like, I'm like, oh yes, let's let us hear about the 7,000 different types of hammer. I'm interested in that. Let's go for it. Like, like I will fall into that like so hard for whatever it is. If the thing grabs my interest, that's where I'm going. I'm like, tell me about all the different types. That's why I watched all those skate videos. Like, okay, that's an aggressive inline skate. That's a freestyle skate. That's a speed skate. That's this one. Like, these have different wheel sizes. The rails are different. The boot construction is different on this one. It's like, boom. I'm like, see, this is what happens. I fall like real hard. So it's which means like a lot of those hobbies like I can't get into, because it'd be like, yeah, I need 7 pairs of roller skates. Obviously, that's what it is.
Right. Well, because you'd be like, well, I can't. I don't want to get an all rounder, because what if I really need to get into cornering all of a sudden? Or
that's true.
Going super fast.
Although generally the all rounder is that's a good entry point.
Well, yeah.
And then, like, based on what you notice, you go, oh, I need one that's better at this thing. Oh, look, it exists and it's right here.
To do.
This is why I have so many guitars, right? Like, some of them like are good for some things. Like, this one is good for certain things. This one's good for other stuff, right? Like, they have different sound characteristics. So, like, I'm susceptible to this behavior. It's all right. It's my curse. It's fine. It's okay. Mine. Makes it fun though,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do that a lot. So it's really interesting. I like those shows a lot. Those are really fun. There's another one. I like the How It's Made one.
Yeah.
But the Modern Marvel ones were cool too.
I had forgotten about that one. I'll have to see if I can find some.
I too, until Aaron brought it up. Thank you, Aaron.
Hello.
Aaron for the win.
Yes.
Update. No listeners in Australia.
Dang it. All right. I'll have to work on that market. Okay. We'll get that.
What kind of things are going to help us break into the Australian market?
I don't know.
They probably don't like us because we made fun of them for losing to emus.
That's true.
It's discussed their horrendous loss to the war.
It's fine. It's okay. That's all right. We still love them.
Not sure if it's certificated.
Can recommend.
Can recommend. Yeah, exactly. See?
Visiting. Can recommend visiting. That's why I was in the middle of drinking water. That's why I got stuck there.
I wasn't judging. Whatever.
I can also recommend listening to that episode of the Oh Brother podcast, available wherever you.
Did we? Yeah, I'm gonna have to think. What was the name of it? Was that just Emu Wars? That was Emu Wars.
Maybe yes. That's the one. That's one that shut it down. They're like, nope,
never mind.
Not this one.
They
Boom.
erased the history of
everything.
Emu.
It's true. No, it's fine. I love Australia. I own a didgeridoo. It's right here. Hello.
Wow, really pandering. Jeez.
Yeah, you do what you gotta do. It's fine.
Reduce their culture to something they lost to, and something that.
I only said that because I'm literally looking at it right now. It's like directly in front of me where I'm sitting. So like, Sure. It is. It's right here.
Yeah, Emu Wars came out. Actually, this is serendipitous. Emu Wars came out exactly 1 year ago.
No way.
Yeah.
July 20th,
Whoa.
July 20th, 2020.
Nears makes no difference, man. That's like 2 days off. We'll take it. That's pretty good. Look at that.
Pretty awesome. So, I love it.
Man, so we got the back catalog built up for when everyone's taking their summer weekend holidays, right? They can listen. They got everything's good.
Yeah. It'll be just all available.
So, Aaron, what updates do you have for us? How's it going?
Oh, not bad. There's a certain Shelby in the other room who is obsessed with the show Love Island. I don't know if you can hear.
Hear the
amount of excitement, but it sounds like someone got picked that Shelby likes, so she is ecstatic. I don't. She's like, oh my gosh, Corey's with this person. I'm like, I don't know who that is. Like, it's like, oh my god, can you believe him and Samantha? And I'm like, I don't know. Yes,
you just go with it. Like, no, I can't. It's crazy.
You should have picked Sally. Like, it's crazy. So she's causing a ruckus in there. So work number one has been going relatively smoothly, closing cases, getting the transition period ready. My last day is next week. Super exciting. I'm kind of in the notion of if I just leave and like just turn my stuff in, like, all right, bye, like I'm fine with that. But everyone's like, oh, we gotta have like a last day party, and I'm like, no, that's okay. Like, everyone else is busy, and then they're like, well, we'll take you to Nola's, which is that super fancy New Orleans / Cajun restaurant in Tulsa. And I'm like, I guess.
Okay, never mind. We're gonna have
so that'll be the last day next Friday. Work number 2 already had kind of, so in athletics during summer, especially summer athletics, you cannot hold like official workouts until like school actually starts. So I went down there I went down there,
whatever the Oklahoma equivalent of Misha is.
So I went down there yesterday yesterday evening, and did kind of like some workout stuff with them. They're close to working on their max in weightlifting to get them ready for the season. Wow. It's kind of weird starting kind of like a new job like this, coming in like once things are already established. So like I just kind of like awkwardly stood around for a while, and I was like, do you want me to, like, are you going to introduce me and start like what do you want me to? And so finally I was like, screw it. So I just started like taking kids to the side and like working on forums, and they're like, wait, who are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm Coach Funkhauser. They're like, oh, sweet. So
Aaron just started deadlifting, just like, hey, give me that bar.
No.
He went straight to the hard stuff. Like
I moved
the cling and jerk. Hey guys, let me.
I picked up an empty bar, which is 45 pounds. I was like, this is, whenever you do a deadlift, like it looks like this, and like my back was like, what are you doing? So
it's okay. Like, hey, stop it.
I met a lot of the kids, talked to some of the other coaches, and it was a unique experience. The after effect of kind of like today, there's certain things that you as a coach / educator need to do to qualify to coach as a state, and it's things like you have to take what's called a care and prevention class, coaching fundamentals, health and safety, concussion protocols, things like that says, hey, you at least know what you're doing in these certain scenarios. I started what am I on right now? Fundamentals of coaching. I am just now on unit 3, and I started this thing at 4. And I'm on unit 3, and there's unit 4, 5, and 6. So these are going to be a tomorrow issue. And that's just
for tomorrow, Aaron.
And that's just one course thing. And there's a lot of information, like legal stuff.
I bet it's huge,
like things like that. And so I need to complete these before practice like officially starts, which I have plenty of time. And I sort of already done a variation or version of this before. And I'm like, this will be easy. But it's like, oh, this is revamped and revitalized in the year
It's
that
like
I
new,
did. Yeah.
yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, crud. So I'm slogging through it / relearning / educating myself / preparing myself for what I'm getting myself into. 8-man football is a vastly different monster. It is incredibly fast paced. For those of you who are listening out of country,
Yeah, I bet.
there's in America, there's 11-man football. But if you go to a very small school and you don't exactly have enough student cap population to qualify for larger sports, they bump you down to 8-man football, which you just take 11 people and just throw some of them away, and then boom, you have 8-man. The field is much smaller. It is a faster paced game, and there in 8-man or in 11-man football, it's typical high scoring or can be high scoring things. In 8-man football, it is vastly fast paced, and there's a thing called the mercy rule, which if there's a 45
like softball.
If there is a 45 point spread, the game 45 point spread before or at any time the game's over, which is a good thing and also a bad thing. When I coached 11-man football,
that's crazy.
We went 2-8 my first year coaching 11-man football, and like the games we won were either like 8-6 or like 75-0. But those were the only two games that we won, comparative to like when we went and played like these really massive schools, which the final score was like 80-3 or like 77-0. And it's like, do we have a mercy rule? No. Hey, can we just have the clock running? Okay, awesome. So no matter what position, if 45, it's either 45 or 50 points spread, the game's automatically over.
Whoa.
So these,
I'm imagining, like, is it just kind of like the picture I have in my head when you say fast paced is like, it's like crazy when you get to like college football teams are just like a crazy like West Coast offense, and it's just like defense optional. Like just score as many points as fast as you can. Like, is that what it's like? He's like, just go.
Talking with some other 8-man coaches from other schools, they're like, yeah, we don't really focus on defense because either we don't have the numbers or we don't have the skill positions, which either like the really fast people. And so a lot of people are like, we just kind of focus on offense and just hope for the best on defense. And so a lot of people's philosophy turns into, we're going to outscore you faster.
Yeah, I was wondering, like a race.
Pretty much. So special teams is pretty much out of the question. Some leagues or some divisions like take special teams like kickoff, kick return, like out of the question. They just put it like right on a certain yard line and they just go for
on like
it.
The 25 or whatever.
And so
do they have like extra points, special teams, like field goal stuff?
Typically a lot of smaller schools don't bother. They just kind of go for it.
Oh, they just go old school, just like 4 downs or nothing, right?
I like it. So
that's cool.
Because it is so fast paced, you have to take advantage, and a lot of it turns.
That's true.
A lot of it turns into like angles are looked at much differently.
You just need the kicker for like that last play of the game.
Yeah.
Right. You just got to have that one guy in reserve who can kick, but like doesn't normally. He's also playing like
so it's
some other random position.
So it with thinking about it, like as of right now, we have 23 players right now. A lot of those kids who could play, that kind of dwindles down a little bit. At my other school, I remember we took 14 kids to a school that had 85 kids, and we just got demolished. We actually have a good consistent number, mostly because I'm excited of not having to like put a helmet on and like stand in place of like a kid, because we had to do that at the other school I coached at. It was like, hey,
you had to be the tackling dummy.
So I had to like step in and be like, hey, this is
gross.
like, I'm going to be the running back or I'm going to be the quarterback. Somebody get open. So I don't have to get hurt as much.
This is good news. We like that.
But thank you. So there's that. I am working on kind of the first year teacher at this school's like forms, like, hey, here's our insurance forms.
Yeah.
Sign this, which I if I could just like give it to somebody and have them do it for me, like I would be like, just pick something, I'll be fine. I get confused and I'm just like, where do you want me to sign it? I don't care right now. So I'm working through that.
Yeah. I had to sit with like the lady who does it, like our accountant, bookkeeper lady. And I was like, all right, I need you to help me with this.
Yeah.
Because I can't.
It is kind of a good thing that Shelby and like her mother in particular, her mom especially, there we go. She's a seasoned teacher. And so I'm like, I don't know what this Oklahoma insurance is. And she's like, I will just put this and put this here. I'm like, okay, thank you.
Usually they give you like these weird options, like pick 1, 2, or 3, but you're like, I don't understand.
I don't know. What does that mean?
What these mean?
So I am slowly going through that. Nice. I have seen my classroom like once, and they're like, hey, what's in your classroom? I'm like, oh, I have no idea. Like I was like, oh, this is like where my desk is, and like, hey, we need to do some
even
stuff.
Know where it's at.
And Shelby's like, do you have a whiteboard? I'm like, I don't know.
That's going to be important for lesson delivery.
Yes.
You have a projector or a whiteboard or
I have a smart board, I think.
There you go.
Not much else. So either this weekend or next weekend.
That's all you need, man.
I might be going down there and doing some sort of decorating, or at least just taking inventory.
Start with inventory
because it's going to be. I'm not going to go as ham with my classroom as I did with my 5th graders. It's pretty much going to be like very to the point. It's not going to be like bare walls or anything like that. Like I will have maps that I will make it at least look professional.
It's one of those things where like what I did was like I just started with something and then every once in a while you're like, oh, I need this, and then you get that and you add it and you go, oh, I should do this, and then you add that, right? You just kind of do it.
Yeah.
Of course, that's how my brain works better anyway. Like I have to identify a need and then go, okay, that's what I need. I'm really bad at like sitting down and be like, what do I need for the whole thing? Like I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
So
I'll establish a classroom routine, and this weekend for sure we'll be making like the first initial lesson plans, because now that I know like what I'm sort of teaching, except for they threw in like, hey, you might teach a computer class. I'm like, sorry, what? So, but it's pretty much, it's all middle school. And so that I can at least narrow it down. I got some of the books.
Good. Use those books, man. Those actually look very similar to the same book series that my classroom has.
Yeah.
And they're like, mine are really old, but they're a really, really good baseline to follow.
And so
like, I'll tell you, you and I can talk about that later. Yeah. It's fine. We don't want to bore the listeners with this, but like,
so I will probably call you because, and especially because I'll be doing 6th, 7th, and 8th, and kind of having, book wise and then classroom stuff and kind of like my own stuff.
Yeah, that's what I do. I use the book for like, well, never mind. We'll talk later.
Yeah. And so I'll, but yeah, that's kind of what's my week. I'm trying to finish classes.
The listeners don't want to hear about my process. It's fine.
I'm trying to learn a whole new football system. I'm literally looking at our quote unquote playbook, and I'm just trying to like articulating into my own words so I can understand it.
What you need for 8-man football, I just decided you need to find one like really athletic kid to be a safety, and just boom, blow it up. Everything. No, nobody's passing over here. Bam, get out.
So,
you want to run over here? Bam, you're done. Like that's what you need. You just need like a person in that like strong safety position. Boom, or whatever the 8-man equivalent is called.
It's pretty much the same thing. Just take away like 3 positions. I'll be doing running backs and linebackers, which linebackers are easy. However, I've never played running back, and so I am learning a lot as I go. But I mean, it's pretty much
cover the points, shoulder down, go for it. That's what you get.
Here's a video on Adrian Peterson and or Jim Brown. Go.
Yes. Yes.
So.
No, only the 70s running backs like Franco Harris. Just like, here, just run everyone over. Blap.
But I met
sweep power. Boom. There you go.
I met a lot of the kids yesterday, and at first I was kind of in my own head. Starting at a new school, meeting like new kids.
Sure.
You know, like off the first bat, I was kind of freaked out. But like then I met some of like the kids like I'll be coaching directly, and they're like, dude, like we're excited for you to be here. And then jumping into it. So transitioning from the department, learning a whole new system, trying to take these enjoyable classes, trying to come up with a lesson plan, and then trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my room, all before August 12th. So it's
is that when your school starts?
So I have to be there for our first meetings / first practice August 9th, and then school starts boom August 12th.
Yo, really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And
oh my gosh.
It is an hour drive from where 56 minutes. From where I live. So early in the morning, it's actually a pretty chill drive.
Pretty chill.
When I was coming home the other day, like I hit Tulsa at like 5 o'clock traffic. I'm like, oh, this is terrible. So once school gets out and once we have practice, that time from a point A to Tulsa, it'll be a little bit later. And especially on Friday nights, especially if the game goes really quickly and it gets over really quickly.
Oh, true.
I'll get home at a relatively decent time. But man, I don't mind the drive. It gives me time to think and just kind of vibe and chill. But I'm not going to enjoy getting up that early. I gotta adjust to that pretty quickly. So
yeah.
But yeah,
that'd be interesting.
That's what Aaron's been going on.
That's crazy. Like I'm not rubbing salt or anything, but like
feel like there's salt.
Our first teacher meetings are and the first day of school are like over 2 weeks apart. Like we have like 2 weeks of professional development before school starts.
Oh yeah.
So like
I'm sure
we come in, we do some meetings, we have like time to start working on stuff. I just have to go up and dig out all my stuff and be like, oh yeah, my first unit is this. Boom, here it is. Kaboom. Like, yeah, we have a lot more time. I'm sorry about that. That's crazy.
Well, so next week, we'll have the kind of like the workouts Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then on the 3rd and 4th, there's like some sort of kids camp. And then there's some sort of other practice. And then on August 6th, we have pictures for sports pictures and stuff. So
wow.
I'll be doing some of that.
Maybe afterwards I'll sneak into your room for a little bit, do a little bit of something, and then
I'll probably end up doing that just to get down there and early, and so that's kind of my plan. Just kind of see what I have here / what do I need to purchase myself, and then kind of just go and fixerate my room and kind of hope for the best. So
nice, that's crazy.
Yeah,
but it'd be good. Yeah, my recommendation would be just don't plan super far ahead for everything. Just do a couple things.
Yeah,
right. Then you get in the vibe, and then at least for me, it becomes once you're in the mode, it's a lot easier to plan out. You're like, oh, I need to do this. Blam, got it. I need to do this. Boom. I had this great idea. Boom.
Yeah. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now, is just coming up with some things to hold over for. If I can get like the first like month down, I think I'll be fine, because I know that'll be subject to change. So
yeah, that's a pretty good. Even if you have like a vague idea, like even if it's not planned all out directly, like that'd be good.
Yeah.
So that's a lot though, man.
Yeah.
Be all right.
Busy next 3 weeks.
Yeah. Oui. Collin, moving up north, what's up with you up there? What's going other than finding any truck you can possibly discover?
Well,
what have you been up to?
We've been spending a lot more time at the pool recently. And so
I did see that.
So Lillian has become very brave and very bold.
Olympic diver is what she's become. Like,
and it was absolutely adorable. So I missed the first part of that, but Megan retold it and said that Lillian came over to the diving board and Noah wanted to be over to watch his sister. So he ran over, got his little floaty boat thing, put it on, and then scooted and kicked all the way across the pool, got himself underneath the little buoy line, and waited in the deep end, just hanging out, watching Lillian dive over and over and over again.
Oh my gosh.
He was like not going to be left alone. And so he ran over there. It was so funny.
That's great.
Really enjoyed watching her. So other than that, and so she's been doing really good with swimming, and both of them have been getting like really, really confident. And I think it's helped that she or that we've been seeing a lot more of their friends from school there recently.
Oh yeah, at the pool.
Yeah, at the pool. So they like have a better connection than other places. Because they immediately say, "Oh yeah,
they know people there." Yeah.
It gives them something to go talk to, even though they don't a lot of times.
Well, yeah, you can still like wave, "Hey, what?" Even though they're like that, "Hey, watch this!" Like, you know what I mean?
That's yeah. So we're so that's been really good. It's been really fun. I've been really enjoying the evenings, and the other bonus here is whenever the kids go and spend 3.5 hours at the pool, they sleep amazing.
Hey, yeah, there we go. I always remember that after doing a lot of swimming when I was younger. Like, I would be like just so incredibly hungry and tired. Right. It's like the most hungry like I ever was after like lots of swimming. Like, oh my, I'm literally starving to death right now. I can't even.
No, I mean, and that was the thing. Like we went to eat one night after they had done swimming, and the kids like just absolutely demolished a normal order that they hardly ever finish, and so we were like, "Oh, right, yes, that's right. That we need to."
We were exercising. I forgot.
Oopsies. Yeah, because the kids like just tore through it, and they looked at us, and they were like, "We're still hungry." And we were like, "Oh, sorry."
Where's the rest, Dad? Come on.
But that's been good, and we've also Lillian. Big news: Lillian tested into first grade officially.
Whoa!
So,
hey.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Little Chica is skipping kindergarten.
Wow. There we go.
We had her assessed, and they were like, "Yeah, she's either going to be." So there was a lot of things that went into this, but she was either going to be both the oldest and the most advanced in kindergarten, and she would be the only girl in a class of 5.
No.
Yeah, or she's going to be one of the younger students, but more on par with the people in her in first grade. And we talked with the instructors and with the principal, and they were all fine with allowing her to move into first grade, with the idea that obviously we're going to be involved and working on doing any catch up or communicating with the teachers to make sure everything's moving on track. But yeah, they were like, no, that's totally fine with us. because I don't know if I told you guys this process, but we went in to get her assessed. And when we went, originally we're going to go do this, they were like, how old is she? And 5. But I said, but she'll be 6 in the fall. And so at first they were just going to do the first grade assessment. And then they were like, but wait, when is her birthday? And I told them, and it says September. And they're like, oh, well, since she's not 6 by the start of the school year, we're not going to put her in first grade. And I was like, by a few weeks? Are you serious? Not that I was frustrated.
Yeah, it's a real weird, like, hardcore thing. They get really hardcore about that.
Yeah, all of a sudden they were like, yeah. I was like, okay. So they were like, okay, we're just going to do the kindergarten assessment. I was like, whatever. Well, we get there and she's like, it'll take an hour. I'm like, okay, like that's kind of long for a 5-year-old, but whatever we got to do. And turns out they did the first grade. So they did the kindergarten assessment. They did the first grade assessment, and then they did a partial second grade assessment.
Okay, to see where she is on the. Okay.
It took an hour, and at an hour and 45 minutes, I said, we're done, because Lillian did not get a break. She did not get a snack. Nothing took place. There was nothing. She came running out to me saying, I have to pee really bad. I gotta pee. And I was like, well, of course you do. It was an hour and 45 minutes, and you would have gone over, you would have hit 2 hours. And so when they gave back some of the scores, I kept asking, and when did they give that assessment? Because my idea was, if you give an assessment of a 5-year-old at a second grade level, and it is at the end of an hour and 45 minute marathon, I'm going to basically add between 5 and 10% onto whatever you tell me, or more. Like they had, were reading stories and then doing like recall and comprehension of stories. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
No.
Be burned out. Yeah.
like that was stupid. You don't get to do that at an hour and a half in to the assessment. Like that's not okay. So, because at first they were like, well, she was kind of, one thing was lower on this and that we would have liked to see. And I was like, yeah, but also you did that. You were doing math at an hour and 20 minutes into this. I think we can assume she sat there quietly paying attention and trying. I think she's going to do just fine in classroom there, miss. Anyway, I'm probably turning into one of those annoying parents.
That did sound a little bit like one of those.
But, I mean, seriously, you come in and you sit down a sixth grader and ask them to sit still for almost 2 hours.
Oh no, that's
impossible. Yeah.
That's why we, during map testing, we have we always do here's the first session, and they're it depends on which test they're taking, but they give as much time until they're all done. Right. That's what it is. But they give you an estimated time. It's 30 to 40 minutes. But there's 3 sessions. So we do 1 session and then we're done for at least half an hour. Right. We're out. We're doing something else. We're taking a break. We're doing and then we come back to the next one. Right. And then we go. Yeah, you have to build in those break times. And then, we also don't test back-to-back days. Right, because we have to do a CA or a communication arts test and a math test, right? But we will not test Wednesday, Thursday.
Sure,
you know what I mean? Because that's like you're talking about. That means your Thursday scores are just going to be terrible, right?
No,
you want to do Tuesday, Thursday,
yes,
right? Or ideally, what you want to do is Tuesday. Next Tuesday, right? That's what you want.
You're right.
You want something like that, so you can really spread them out.
Yeah, but no, and this is this all totally makes sense to me. And I was just kind of staring at these people, being like, well, "How are you not getting this?" So anyway, but it wasn't as if it was like she scored like a 60% and I was over there being like, oh, you're gonna let her in. It was like she scored a 91%, and it was like, yeah, no, she obviously can get in at the first grade level.
Lord.
She's gonna be fun. Right, that's what we were dealing with here. I was just pushing back on the connotation of like, well, she, we're gonna have to work on her paying attention skills, whatever. And I was like, shut up.
Yeah, at 90 minutes, you have to work on my paying attention skills, right? Like that's what.
No, seriously. After 90 minutes, you know what I was doing? I was walking in the gymnasium counting ceiling tiles, trying to stay active. And
oh no,
my 5-year-old was doing math. So like,
look, you were both doing math. Technically, it's fine.
This is true. This is true. But I was just like, do you watch me pacing and counting the tiles and then like multiplying the dashed lines on the things so that I could keep my brain from consuming itself? I was bored.
It gets real bad when you start counting edges.
Nice.
That's what I do. I start counting like edges of things. But then I have this like real bad problem. I have to subdivide it into like a multiple of 5 or an even number. And so I'm like looking about how I can deconstruct things into line segments, and it's a problem.
Nice.
I've been getting a lot better at it. I used to like compulsively do it, but like been getting better. But I will look at like a bookshelf, and I will just start segmenting the bookshelf into line segments.
Nice.
And like counting edges and like spaces and how that constructs together.
You always found all the triangles in those pictures, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. On long road trips, I would count the line dashes in a quarter mile and then multiply it, because you get the mile markers, but they're every quarter mile in some places.
Yeah.
And so I would count the line dashes, multiply it by how many per mile I got, and then I would see how many more miles we had left in the trip to see how many line dashes were going to be for the rest of the way home. Try and work that out.
I would not do that. I wasn't that bad.
I mean, gotta do what you gotta do. So anyway,
I did that thing, which I didn't know anyone else did until I read it on the internet somewhere. But like, you imagine there's like a person or you like riding next to the car on like a motorcycle or a bicycle and like doing tricks over like fences,
jumping from tree to tree,
and like power lines.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah, I would do that.
I don't
like extreme Tony Hawk style though. You're like on the fence post and you're on the thing, and I would do that. I didn't know people did that at all.
Isn't that a weird?
And then I read I read online somewhere, someone was talking about how they did that. I was like, what? What do you mean?
That's weird. That's such a weird, like,
no way
commonality that people have of like, you imagined an imaginary person running from branch to branch and from tree to, and from fence post to fence post.
Yeah, and you never told anybody.
Why would you?
And someone else also did the same thing. You're like, what? Yeah. Are you kidding me?
That's definitely like the start of a movie of like, they were all dreaming of little green men, and they all had the same dream every night.
That's true.
Right,
I think that's in the Silmarillion somewhere. They have the same dream, but they don't tell each other, right? Forever. It's all that. It's a problem. Yeah, that's what I would do on road trips. Like, just mindlessly stare out the window. Or I would do math like, I would like try to calculate how long it would take to get to places at current miles per hour based on like the mile sign, that you saw.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, we're going like 65 miles an hour, and that place is like 20 miles away. So I would try to like mentally calculate, like mental math, like how many minutes it would take to get to those places.
Yeah.
I do that. I still do that. Like,
well, I think I think that there's a lot of just general, I don't want to say, but like, you really get good at rounding and guesstimating, I feel like, with those kind of problems. because you start picking up on patterns and going, okay, if it was like that for 17 minutes, this, and blah, blah, and you kind of work your way through.
Yeah, that's what you do. You're like, it's going to be, because you like are just sort of like factoring in your head almost kind of. So like, well, it's going to be like 15 and then something else. So like about, 17, 18 minutes, right? That's what you kind of do in your head. You kind of come up with these ways of trying to figure out like, just the time based on current speed, So yeah, I still do that.
Question for you, mental math. 27 plus 48. How do you do that?
How do I do it? I do 7 plus 8 and then 20 plus 40 and then add them together.
Okay. Here, man.
How do you do that?
Aaron, are you there?
Yep.
Oh, how do you do that?
Don't do math.
Okay, good.
You don't. Aaron pulls out his phone.
I do 20 and 40, 7 and 7 plus 1.
Oh, well, yeah, that's how I would probably do. Yeah, because that's how I would do 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Right, because 7 and 8, I know 7 is 14 plus 1 more is 15. And then I would just add that to the 60 for 75. Right? Yeah.
Anyway, I
usually go by known.
Yeah.
Like your double value, right? I know that about myself. Like I usually go by my doubles values. So like if I have a number, like especially the one offs, like, well, how do you add like, 6 and 7? Like, 6 plus 6 and 1 more, right? That's what I do that all the time.
Right. Yeah. I think, I don't know. I saw that flash across on my Facebook page, and it was interesting to see how people broke it down. Some people were like, oh, well, I'm going to do, some people did like 25 and there were totally weird answers to me that just like didn't make sense for how I process.
Well, you're still breaking it into, you're still deconstructing.
Yes. It was just
right.
how just the numbers that they deconstructed to was like, oh, that's weird. And like, somebody was like, oh, easy. I would just add 30 plus 50 minus 5. And I was like,
oh, yeah, I guess
okay.
that,
I stay away from subtraction, but okay.
I never would have thought to do that.
Yeah.
Probably. Unless it was closer.
Yeah.
Right. I will do that if it's like a closer value, but if it's like 5 or more, I'm not going to subtract. I would generally only subtract if it's going to be within 4, right? That's kind of what I think I would do mentally. We talked about that in summer school, right? We were talking about, but at the beginning, we're doing like multiplication, just practice. And so like the first day I was like, go. Done. Just here's the math sheet. Boom. Like those times, like those, like, it was like some number of problems. I was like, just do it. We'll have time, whatever. The next day, after we did that, I was like, all right, so how do you do a problem that you don't know the answer to?
Yeah.
If you don't know it, if you don't know, like, if you don't have it memorized, like if you don't know 7 times 6, how do you figure it out? What do you do? And we had, in my room, there was, how many people were in there? We came up with 4 strategies.
Nice.
To find unknown things, So it's pretty good. I was like, okay. I left them all up on the board. I wrote examples of how to do like the same math problem, but with each 4 strategies. I was like, today, when you get to those ones you don't know, try one of these. Boom. So they were kind of practicing like different ways that might help them to do that. But that is you're right, that is a strange thing that there are like 700,000 ways to get the same answer. And that's what drove me crazy about like 7th grade math specifically. Was all the like, no, that's wrong. You can't do this. Like, but it's I have the, what are you talking about? Get out of here. But that's the old, that's the old way of thinking.
We teach one way.
Right. Like
everyone's going to do it. Because that gets it.
Yeah.
Whether that jives
follow
with
the
your
steps
brain and you're the way you think or not, that's what you're doing.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing that people like. There's a disconnect when you're talking about like modern education, like discourse, right? Like, oh well, you can't just do it that way. You're like, yeah, I know we don't do it anymore. Why are you shouting? I'm sorry that your 7th grade math was also bad, but we don't do it like that anymore. Like, I don't know. We get so like, people shouting like, when was the last time you were in a math classroom? Oh yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah. It's fine. Anyway.
Yeah, but it's important to think about different ways to do things, and I think that's a good skill that translates to all other things, right? When you're not just schoolwork or math. When you think about, basically the problem solving in general, just the ability to be like, I need to try it this way. Boom. That didn't work. What about this way?
Well, and I think what's really key there, because I know for me, when they would start teaching multiple ways to solve, I would get overwhelmed because then I'd try and memorize each possible way to solve certain kind of problems. But I think what is the biggest takeaway there is that just knowing there are multiple ways, and that if you can, it's okay to try different ways and different systems if you don't know it, because if you're like, well, this is the only way I know how to do it and I can't get the right answer, or I'm not getting anywhere, it's like going, well, no, there are multiple ways, so I can step back and try something different.
Yeah,
I think that's really
I mean, I had that specific thing happen at probably middle school. We're gonna go 7th grade. I don't know if it was or not.
Might as well.
But like, I was doing math, right? And I did have Dad help me with my math homework. And he's like, "Oh, you do it like this." And I looked at it like, "What? Yeah. What? What are you talking about?"
I'm going to give an example of working with Dad as well. So this works.
I had that experience, right? Of like, what do you mean you do it like that? That's what?
Yeah. Here, let's have an engineer show you exactly how to do this, right? Who's gone through.
Yeah. Maybe. In theory, it sounds like a good person to have ask you for math. The person whose math is literally their job.
Right. But when the teacher's like, that's nice. What I'm actually the reason I'm teaching this process is because I'm trying to teach like a fundamental principle of mathematics. And when you don't do this process, you won't get that principle. So stop using the shortcut.
Well, I feel like they should say that to their students, right? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of teachers, like, they don't tell their students that. They won't be like, "Hey, I am teaching you right now. This thing that we're doing is basically the first step for solving algebraic equations." Right? We don't call it that yet, but that's what we're doing. Right? And that makes the kids be like, "Oh,
yes. You see the picture.
Okay. I understand now. I know why I'm doing it." You know what I mean? Like, it makes a little more sense. If you can't give them that, even if it's like, "Hey, this is a step to something else." That's
didn't get that.
But like,
go ahead. Brandon. You have the mic. The mic is no good. It's no good, boss.
How about now?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. My internet just died for a minute. Anyway, what I was getting ready to say, was to put this in an analogy that I love. I love analogy. When you have people walk into a room, like at school, you don't look at their shoes and go, "You tied your shoe wrong. I'm sorry. You tied your shoe incorrectly. Get out of my classroom." Right? Like, there are many ways to tie a shoe. Again, I didn't know this until I looked it up one time because we were making an instructional video we watched like 4, and every single one was a different way to tie a shoe, and we were all like, "Wait, what?"
Right? Yeah.
Like, it gets the job done. Your shoe is tied. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Chill.
Well, you mentioned it'd be nice if teachers brought you in on kind of the learning process. I didn't get that until it was algebra in high school, right? That's when you do algebra.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And I remember we were learning some concept, and he's like, and the teacher was like, "Now, next week, I'm going to show you something so you don't have to do any of this, and you'll never have to do math like this again. But I'm getting you through this because it's going to make more sense next week when we do the different version." I was like, "Oh." Well, it's kind of like that moment of like a flash before my eyes of every single math class of just like going of every time. It was like, oh, things make a lot more sense now.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, I don't know. I'm very passionate about this particular subject. Like, people are afraid of math.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine if you sat down your first day of art class. They showed you a Monet and like, paint that. Mm-hmm. Right? You're going to be like, no, I'm out. What they do in art class is you start off by learning like little tiny bitty pieces, like different techniques, different brushstrokes, different whatever. And then you build up until all of a sudden you can do things like that. Right? But in art, you know the end goal. Mm-hmm. And in math, like, nobody tells you the end goal. Right? It's not until you're sitting in an economics class and you're looking at this graph and you go, oh my gosh, that's a quadratic function. Holy cow, what? Like,
seriously.
You're like, oh, I have no idea. Whoa.
Yeah.
Like, nobody can tell you what it's for.
Yeah, I mean, there were times where concepts...
It's like so compartmentalized.
It really is. Where it wasn't until I was doing like full-on like population modeling and dynamics where we had quadratic functions, but each one was a different component about like the life history of an organism.
Yeah.
Where it was like, wow, this would have been actually very helpful to think of it in these terms back in high school. Because all of a sudden each component has a lot more meaning other than a 7 or a 5.
Yeah, and it's weird because you do that in literally every other subject, right? In like
textualized
ag shop, you go, hey, this bearing is important because if this bearing doesn't work, it totally throws off this other part in this motor. So these bearings have to function and roll properly. And you go, okay, so if I fix the bearings, it'll be fine. Right. Boom, done. If you're in geography class, right, and you don't know the cardinal directions of the compass, but you can like clearly see that is helpful to reading maps and like understanding how things work, right? But like, nobody clues you in the math part. I think it's because people are afraid of it. And then like number 2, like nobody told some of the teachers either. No. Right, that's the other problem.
Yeah.
Right, nobody told them, so they can't tell you. So like, it's kind of a thing, right?
Right. They're just teaching the numbers because they need to teach numbers because they teach numbers.
You know, and that's not necessarily their fault, right? But that's kind of what happens,
right?
Especially in elementary school, right? I've said this before to people at work, like, nobody teaches 3rd grade to be a math teacher. Mm-hmm. Right. All the people that really want to teach math are teaching high school math, right? That's what they're doing. So it's really hard to set their foundation for them in 3rd grade. You know what I mean? This is hard. This is a difficult one. I was going to have another thought and it left me. Oh, I do that in science all the time, right? We'll be talking and I'll be like, all right, you don't need to know too much about this because this is some like chemistry stuff. All right. I'm going to give you a little taste of it right now, but know that you don't really have to understand how this works because you'll learn more about it later. It's fine. Like, here's some little introductory sauce. What you're doing right now is chemistry. What you're doing right now is biology. Right? What you're doing right now is physics. Right? These are little sprinkles about what it's all about later. Mm-hmm. It kind of gives them the door. Some of the kids think that's really, in 6th grade, some kids think that's really cool. They're like, oh, hey, I learned a little bit of chemistry today. Boom. What's up? Right. Well, other kids don't care at all. But like, some kids are like, oh, that's neat. So hopefully later when they take chemistry, or they'll be like, ooh, I want to do that. Mm-hmm. It's the goal. I don't know if it works or not, but it's the goal.
But it clues them into the process. I think that's always important to be transparent as far as like, because it helps set expectations as far as like where you are, where we're taking you, and then how that's going to look. And I actually brought that exact same up. I did a informal exit interview today with just some feedback to my supervisor and other people. And that was one thing that I had mentioned of like, a lot of the skills and technical knowledge that somebody requires for the job, you don't learn with a degree. You don't learn in a lot of different aspects. So it's a lot of on-the-job training and in-house stuff. And something that they don't have in place that I encouraged them to do was basically a timeline for independence for new people that come in of like, how are you going to assess that person for the skills that they need for the job? And how are you going to train them? And then how are you going to communicate to that person and then do checkup with them to make sure that they're progressing?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because
we have that at school.
And my boss was like, oh, yeah, no, that makes like total sense. Like their plan was basically just to kind of like mentor me until it was kind of okay. And they felt comfortable letting me go off on my own. But I'd been there going on 3 years and I had never once done a site visit by myself. And not bitter by that or really frustrated. And that has nothing to do with why I'm leaving. And so I had to stress that for them of like, look, I'm just telling you, like, this is something that I saw in the process of me developing in this position and learning skills that I think maybe the next person should have a slightly different experience. I was kind of fine with it. They might not be. So this is just for a heads up, because then it also helped the teachers know of like, or in this case, my supervisor and coworker of like, yeah, where is Collin? Where is this person that we're bringing in? So I know how to treat them and how to present information. Because if you don't have that, it's just like a classroom. Exactly. Where if you don't have that process, if you don't have these procedures in place where you're not checking and you're not doing assessments and you're not letting the person try things on their own, nobody's learning and nobody's growing. And all you're doing is getting this like weird, sick codependencies that bring together and nobody's happy. So like,
true.
I was like, and she was like extremely thankful for that kind of feedback. And I was really one of the only ones to give, but it was just very, very interesting for me to, when she was like, if you have some stuff you'd like to share, anytime, let me know. And then I thought about it for about a week. And then today I was like, yeah, I came up with this one thing that I really think procedurally is really going to help who is ever in this position do a lot more. And you guys as well.
No, that's good. That's what I was going to ask Aaron. Does your new school, do they have like a mentor program?
I mean, sort of. No, I definitely understand where Collin's coming from when talking about like, you don't really, you learn a lot of things definitely out in the field. And there's a lot of stuff that like you don't learn, especially with a college degree, especially with what I do or what I'm leaving with DHS, because I remember in training, there's a whole state-sponsored training program called CORE, and in earlier episodes you hear me complaining about it, but
many episodes.
there's a lot of people that go through and like, I'm going to be a social worker when I get done, and I learned this, that, and the other, and then when you get into this job, it's like none of that prepared me to what I'm going to see, what I'm going to deal with. And I mean, there is no real training for that until like you're actually out in the field. But like, I'm also talking about things like how to actually document, like affidavits, how to, document your reports, how to make referrals to places. You don't learn that until you are either with someone or you like ask someone or you're completely on your own. With how I did it was when I was going through core and when I was, back working on my individual training, I would ask people and I would go out with them on cases. And be like, hey, I'm gonna, let me document this for you. And I had people there with me, like, and it was easier because we were actually in the office, but it became more difficult after the fact, especially for the new people that came in following me. Perfect case now is we have these two workers who individually are going to be awesome, but they're kind of in a weird boat because there's a lot of people leaving our particular region, and all they did was that they went out with one person, and because you would get in trouble if you would request them and be like, hey, I'm taking this person out. Like, well, why are you doing that? Well, because they asked me, and they need to learn how to do this particular kind of case, but they only learned from one person, and that only person would just be like, you're following with me, you're not talking, and we're just doing this. And so when I finally got a hold of them, they're like, oh yeah, we had no idea how to do that. And there are several times where I had to be on Zoom or on Teams program, like walking through with people how to document, how to articulate what you saw or what you wrote into a certain kind of form and kind of all of this stuff. And it kind of was heartbreaking because, like, we have these people that had so much potential, but they're already going to be ruined by either this one person or the lack of support from higher administration, because they're like, oh, why is this person struggling? Well, they're struggling because they never had that help, and they were literally handheld through everything and was never learned how to do it themselves. And then you just drop them off with, a case with, 6 to 12 children and, 6 potential parents, and and of course they're going to struggle. So with what Collin is saying, I completely understand and have seen firsthand. As far as my school goes now, I have no idea. I just found out last week that I may be teaching computers, and with some of the coaches, they don't teach my same subject area. And kind of where my classroom is, I'm kind of by myself, which historically speaking, from my other school, I kind of would have preferred, because I had people like teachers like constantly coming in my class to need something, but never to really help. So with this meeting on the 9th, I'm going to attach myself to someone, if they like it or not, to kind of be like, hey, where can I do policy? Like, hey, how does this fit on this schedule? Like, hey, what do you do for this? And
that's good.
Bug the heck out of them.
I envision Aaron coming up and slapping a pair of handcuffs on them, going, "You're my friend now."
Yeah. Just handcuffed together. All right, let's do it. Like,
all right,
rock this.
What?
No, I'm just gonna sit next to them, not say a word, and then just like kind of follow them and let them kind of gather the information. Like, oh, you're with me now. So
there you go. Well, I know like a lot of schools now, they have like we have she's an educational like coach, and her job is to work with everybody with 5 or less years experience. And just like anybody that asks for her help, to come in and talk about like lesson design, classroom management, discipline, school policy, like all that kind of stuff. Just like anything that you need to kind of like help with, that's what she does. She has time during her day. Well, she'll just come in and just watch your class. She'll just like watch you deliver a lesson and just be like, oh yeah, that's, did you try this? Like, did you think about these things? Like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Cool. Like, so, that's one bonus if they have someone like that. But even if it's just like other teachers in that same grade level, like other people that are teaching 6th and 7th grade, just being like, hey, what can you tell me about this thing or this discipline policy or whatever? Like, have that kind of communication is really helpful.
Yeah, and it kind of sounds. Part of the other thing that I kind of got in my own head the other day is that kind of feeling that I was kind of like the last picked and getting late to into the situation of kind of that struggling to stay afloat kind of feel. It was kind of the same way at my other school. I was like, oh hey, here's this new guy. All right, bye. Here, there's a little bit more support from administration, talking with them directly, texting them, calling them directly. They're more open to it. It is a significantly smaller school, so as far as like extra resources to allot to an individual that could spend that time, I'm not sure it's there, but
it might even be an administrator, right? Sometimes they do that.
And so I think I asked the superintendent, who's one of the other athletic coaches. I was like, if you can like just come and sit in my classroom or just like do things like one-on-one before school starts, he's like, yeah, sure, okay, that's fine. So that is a really big support thing.
Cool. That's good.
But as far as like an individual that does that, but yeah, because I'll probably just find some teacher to force to be my friend and learn things like that way. But I mean,
it's important.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. That'd be good. So let's know the follow up. Who have you claimed as your own? Like
this is my friend. This is a teacher with me at this school.
Well, and it's nice too. Just even if they don't teach the same thing, right? Like I have like she's moving classrooms. I'm very mad at her, but she's like my teacher neighbor, right?
Yeah.
So I would just go over there. Someone's like, "Hey, I had this idea. Tell me what you think about it. Like, I want to do this thing. Tell me if this is a dumb idea or not." And just sort of like lay it out for her, and she could be like, "Oh yeah, it's good, but you should probably do this." Like, oh yeah, that's a good point. I should do that too. Like, it's nice to have someone else just bounce ideas off of, even if they're not teaching the same subject or anything.
Sure.
But yeah, the other thing that he said that kind of hit home a little bit was like, you got to get out of your head. And I say that as someone who's in my head, like super hardcore. Like I still really suffer with some like imposter syndrome almost. It feels like I'm like, I don't, because like I got an email the other day, they're like, we want you to be on the building leadership committee. And I was like, what? Why? Like, why would you want that? Are you sure? That sounds like a terrible idea. Like, because I've been my whole head about that stuff. Like, you don't really want me to do that, right? Like, I can't do that. You know what I mean? So like, that's just a thing that everybody struggles with in some way, I think. So it'll be all right. So hopefully it'll be helpful and help you cope through some of this, especially this first couple weeks. This will be rough.
Yeah. Got a big adjustment.
It'll be good though. So, yeah. All right.
Well, we've wandered to and fro as usual.
As we do.
As per the show. Mandated in our charter to the wander.
Yes, it is in the charter. So that's fine.
We wander, so you listeners don't have to. For those in Australia, because you don't exist.
Yeah. Wow. Yet. We love you, Australia.
Maybe that'll be my Oh man. Well, you guys enjoy the rest of your evening, and
you too.
You as well.
Do this again.
All right.
Yeah. Great. Love you guys.
Love you too.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.